Selmo, what's going on, man? I didn't get a chance to speak on this topic yesterday, but Jamar Chase got into it with Jalen Ramsey. He said he didn't spit on the guy, and Ramsey hit him with a short left and tried to hit him with an overhand right. He ain't gonna hurt nobody with the pads on, but he had the proper response. When somebody spits on you, you got to immediately have a response to that. And he stood his ground. And Chase, he didn't react. I guess he thought he can get away with that. And he claimed after the game that he didn't spit on Ramsey. Well, video evidence showed that he did spit on the man. And because of that, they hit him with a suspension, which comes with a game check forfeiture. Well, Chase signed a big contract extension last year. And that spitting incident cost him $448,000 plus another $58,000 for something got to do with a game or something. So overall, that fine cost him over $500,000. And my question is that an excessive fine? Well, let's see how this would go down on the street. If you spit on somebody on the street, it's on right then and there, just like the reaction that you got from Ramsey. And then most of the times, you see that guy again. If somebody don't keep you separated, 9 times out of 10, you're going to go at it again every time you see him until you felt like you got that mark off your record. Now, years ago, when Bill Romanowski spit on a player, I don't remember who it was. I think he was with the Broncos at the time. Broncos. No, he might have been with the 49ers when he did that. I think he spit on a Buffalo guy. And I remember Tom Jackson remarking about that incident. He said, if you spit on me, you're going to have to fight me right then. And you're going to have to fight me every time you see me. So my question is, these guys in the same division, it's unlikely you're going to see them on the street somewhere. But then again, you might run into them in Vegas somewhere. What's going to happen when these two guys meet up somewhere on the streets or when they play against each other in a game somewhere? What's going to happen? Are they going to fight again? What's going to happen? It'd be interesting to see how that goes. But $500,000 from the incident I saw, that little bit of spit, it wasn't worth $500,000, man. The fine is excessive because of the money he makes. Now, if he was a low-level player making $20,000 a game, that would have been a game check also, but it would hurt that guy making $20,000 a game far more than it hurts a guy like Jamar Chase. But if he doesn't have any complaints about losing $500,000, that lets you know that he's probably got another problem that's coming later on. You're getting used to spending all this money and you're not properly investing like you should be, and it's going to come back to bite it. So it's all about how Chase is handling everything else that will determine how he comes out of this situation. But $500,000 just on the surface, that seems like an awful lot of money. I say let them guys go outside and settle it and go from there. But the league has an image to uphold. He got caught. It's a public spectacle. He got to pay. But just $500,000 on the surface just seems like an awful lot. JC, I see you got Selmo on here. JC said Chase's fine is excessive, but the NFLs are trying to shut down spitting episodes. Well, you're never going to be able to shut it down. Only reason you see that is because it was an isolated incident and these two guys were grouped together and it caused the cameras to focus directly in on them. What about all the stuff that you can't see that goes on under the pile? It kind of goes back to what I was telling you guys about that tush push. They always talking about how you can't stop the tush push. Yeah, it's a tough play to stop, but at the same time, with the nastiness and the aggressiveness that you have to play pro football, you can't legislate a lot of things out. And underneath the pile is one of the things that you can't legislate because you can't really see. So if I'm a defensive coordinator and Philly is pushing me around with that tush push, okay, I'm gonna get one of those defensive linemen and grab Hurts around the throat and hold on until they break the pile up. I'm gonna let go before you see exactly what I'm doing. And I guarantee you, when Hurts go to the sideline, you're gonna tell the coach what happened, and that'll be the end of Jalen Hurts running that tush push. Now he does well. He's got a very strong leg base, and he's a perfect guy to run that out of the quarterback position. But when you start putting tight ends and other players that don't handle the ball in those tight situations like that, then you're going to start turning the ball over. That's one thing you haven't seen in this tush push is people turning the ball over, and that's coming. And it's going to have to take one of those linemen putting their mitts around the throats of the ball carrier to let them know we ain't going to just let you push us around like that. And that's the only way you can stop that. And the league can't do anything about it if they can't see what's going on. But when you spit out in the open in front of everybody, then yeah, they had to do something about that. But it's just $500,000 an awful lot of money, man. For one game, for the whole career, I understand, but no. Selmo says the Raiders and the Browns game is the game of the season that the way people are acting out here. Well, it's the perfect opportunity to see what Shador is going to do. You're not playing against a great defense. And he has an opportunity to be able to at least operate the offense to the point where we can see what he can do. Now, he's got his fan club, everybody making excuses for the way he played last week, putting it all on Kevin Stefanski. But he's got a whole week now to get ready to play. And if he lays an egg this week, who are they going to blame now? And I'm interested to see how it's going to unfold. Game of the year for me? No. But I can understand why people would feel that way if they feel like Shador has been held down. Now, what people seem to forget is that the guy was drafted in the 5th round. And of course, you want to take the 3rd round pick and put him for the 5th round pick. And unless the 5th round pick can clearly outperform the 3rd rounder, he's going to be behind. But like I told you guys before, these coaches go to practice with these guys every single day. I know what you did in college, Shador. People say they hadn't heard of Gabriel until he came out with the Browns. That's not true either. It's the kind of things that you hear from a fan, especially when they want to see certain things. Well, all that doesn't matter now. He has to go out and compete, which is probably his biggest problem because all throughout his football career, he never really had to compete. His dad was the coach, and his dad was going to put him in that starting position. So who is he going to compete with? Guys that could have competed with him, they went away because they already knew what time it was. So now in the pros, you can't get away with that, and you actually have to compete. Then you either find out that you're either head and shoulders better than everybody like you thought, or you're not as good as you really thought you were. And right now, it's kind of in the middle. He's trending a little bit toward ain't good as you thought you were. And now that you are the starter, there are no more excuses. You're getting all the practice reps, all of that. And we're going to see just what you can do against a subpar defense. If you can't light the Raiders up, who are you going to light up? So we'll see how that goes. But I'm hearing talk from both sides of the fence about, what they're expecting to see on this. And I'm right in the middle. I don't really don't have a dog in this fight. I just want to see how it unfolds. And it should be pretty interesting to see how it goes. But the Chase and Ramsey incident, I like to see how these guys handle that when they meet each other in the future. Like I said, if you see them on the streets, it's probably going to be a fight, especially now since it's fresh. But once the game gets started, all that goes away. But there's no way that they cannot come across each other again if they're playing in the game. I don't know if Pittsburgh played them twice already or not. I don't think they have. I got to check on that. I believe they have played twice this year. But it'd be interesting to see how that goes. Now today, Wednesday, James Franklin is supposed to give his opening press conference at Virginia Tech. As you know, He was fired earlier this year by Penn State, and then the talks. He said he wanted to get back into coaching real quick, and Virginia Tech was interested because the guy has won. He won in the SEC with Vanderbilt. That's how he got to Penn State in the first place. Turned that program around, and when they couldn't get beyond a certain point, and they got rid of it. It was time for him to go. Anytime you stay in a position too long, you get stale. Your messages get stale, and everything becomes your fault. And things go sour where you lose 2 or 3 games in a row. You really can't escape that, and that's what happened to him at Penn State. But at Virginia Tech, he's not following the legend Frank Beamer, so he doesn't have to live up to those expectations. But all he has to do is make some kind of improvement to what the team is doing now. Just like everybody else, they have good talent. But the thing is the NIL situation. They came up with, I read an article on Virginia Tech, and they're adding 200 to 300 million to their athletic appropriations, and that's more than likely used to uplift their NIL funds. So he's going to have resources there to get players. He's also going to get players based on his name. So Virginia Tech, within 2 years, should be playing a whole lot better than what they're playing right now. And there was a guy yesterday, I forget his name right off, but he said that he don't recall Penn State and Virginia Tech playing. I thought they had played before, but no, they never played each other in football. Penn State has played Virginia, and they even tangled with the smaller school, Old Dominion, but they never played Virginia Tech. But being that these schools now have to face each other, somebody outside your power conference, you got to go play other teams. It's just a matter of time before Penn State hooks up with Virginia Tech. And it's probably part of the deal when Franklin signed his contract with Virginia Tech. And to my understanding, he was supposed to get a $49 million payout with Penn State. But by him signing with Virginia Tech, he got an agreement where he's only going to get $9 million from Penn State. Man, I tell you guys all the time, ain't no way in the hell if you fire me and you tell me you owe me $50 million, I'm going to go rush back into the coaching circuit. Unless you're offering me $100 million, I think I want to collect the money that's owed to me. It's the same thing in NFL, but I guess it don't really matter in NFL. If you get a job, that's best jobs out there, so you want that. And the other team just pick up your contract, so you don't really lose anything. But to get fired and they owe me a buyout, all I see is buyout. I'm going to sit out a year or two and then come back. I go coach high school or something, or go to college. But you're going to pay me my money. And I think Brian Kelly feels the same way. You see, LSU, they don't want to pay the man, so he's going to have to take them to court. And on top of that, that's probably going to prevent him from taking that Penn State job. I think he'd be a perfect fit at Penn State, but he may have the same mentality I have, to sit out and make these people pay him. I wouldn't be mad at him at all if that's what he did. But Franklin's leaving a whole lot of money out there, unless Virginia Tech is paying him some kind of structured deal where he's going to get all that money back. But best believe you me, I want my $40 million that I'm leaving on the table. All right, let's see what we got here. Virginia Tech about to be like Georgia Tech in that conference. What do you mean by that, Selmo? You mean a better team or come out of nowhere? Giolello Acula, what are you talking about? You talking about me? Who are you? But Georgia Tech, they're a sleeping giant, and they're in a great spot in Atlanta. You would think that their football team, with the money they can generate in that Atlanta area, that Georgia Tech can be more powerful than what they are. But the Bulldogs run that. They're only an hour away, and Georgia Tech's right there in Atlanta, but they got a different ideology concerning football than, say, do the Bulldogs. So until they match that, you're not going to get the same recruits that they get over in Athens. But they've had some good teams, and if the NIL money is right, you see these players bounce around from rivals. So you know if the money's right, they don't give a damn where they go. So it's not about team building anymore. It's about how much money can I get out of the situation. And in some ways, you can't be mad at them about that because, like I said yesterday, those executives in higher offices of the NCAA, they've been making money hand over fist, and they don't even run one wind sprint. But the guy that's out there running the wind sprints, he's making billions off his back. He don't get a cent. And then you want to villainize him if take a little bit of money under the table. So I think the players should get all they can get. But at the same time, it puts the coach in a bad situation. How you don't know what you're gonna have. But I think they took steps to erase some of those issues the coaches have when they closed that transfer portal in the spring. So once the season's over with, you got that one window in the fall. So come at the end of January, mid-January, whenever that portal closes, no more portal till the next year. So wherever you are, that's where you are. So coach now can go back through spring practice. He knows what he's going to have, and he has an idea about what he can do as the season unfolds. There's no more, I hope I get somebody. You'll know what you have going into the season. So that should alleviate some issues the coaches have. But both. Okay, I see what you're saying. I think Virginia Tech and Georgia Tech, they are going to be good. But the problem with not Virginia Tech, but Georgia Tech, if this coach continues to win, somebody's going to pluck him away, and he's going to end up going to a school that pays him more money. You hear what they're saying at Penn State. They're talking about going to get Drinkwitz out of Missouri. That might not be a bad fit for Drinkwitz because Missouri is not, they're kind of like middle of the road in the SEC. They can compete, but being in the top 4 or 5, I'm not quite sure they can consistently be there. But in the Big Ten, Penn State has a better opportunity to be in that top tier as opposed to Missouri. Now, they got Oklahoma this week, and that's a game that they can win, especially Oklahoma is feeling themselves right now, and they're in prime position to make a playoff run here. And Missouri can knock them out of that. I've seen them do it to them before when they had Chase Daniels. And Missouri is not afraid of Oklahoma, and they're liable to take it to them again. But the point is, can you do that on a consistent basis? I think Drinkwitz is going to see which way the wind is blowing, and if Penn State is truly interested in, he might just take that job. It might be beneficial to him. So we'll see how it goes. But that's the horn. I got to get up out of here, man. But Selmo, I think Georgia Tech is a good team right now. But that coach, he's done well, and they're going to come pluck him out of there. And James Franklin's a good coach. He'll turn that around. How high he can get, I don't know. But he knows what he's doing. You got no reason to be afraid to play against anybody. So that's a good fit for Virginia Tech. But me personally, pay me, man. I want my money. I'm just like Brian Kelly. And eventually, LSU, they keep messing themselves up. What kind of coach do you think going to want to go there when you quibbling with the former coach about his buyout? Will they do that to me when it's time for me to go? Because most of the time, coaches leave when they get fired. They're going to do the same thing to this guy. And you getting the governor get involved with stuff? Oh, hell. Who wants to go there, man? So that's the worst thing that happened to LSU when the governor got involved in that. And right now, it's a big comedy. And eventually, they're going to have to pay Kelly. And it's going to cost them more than what it would have been if it just paid the man off. So I'm going to keep an eye on that situation, too. But, yeah, Franklin's going to give his press conference today. Should have some interesting comments. And me, most of you guys saying that the fine for Chase is excessive. $500,000 is a lot of money, but if that's what you're making, that's what you're making. You should have thought of that before you spit on the man. But bigger than the game check, you might have to deal with Ramsey again on the streets. So we'll see how that goes. But for professional sake, they probably won't do anything. But I know if it was on the street, it might turn into something. But hopefully it doesn't. But anyway, I appreciate you guys chiming in. I got some interesting shorts out there, videos from basketball and some football highlights. So check me out. And if you're new, like and subscribe. Unless there's some breaking news, I'll catch you guys in the morning. So until then, you have a great day and keep an eye on them Steelers, man. We don't like to be involved in spitting incidents. Just like Ramsey, you spit on us,